My wife has suggested we open our marriage because of her obsession with Asians, and the worst part? I already knew exactly who she had in mind. We've been married 9 years, 2 kids, 6 and 4, a house we saved 4 years to buy. I coached Little League on weekends. She made dinner most nights, and we'd sit at the table as a family, no phones, like we actually had it figured out. From the outside, we were the couple people pointed to as the example of what a marriage was supposed to look like. My best friend has been in my life since we were 12. We grew up 2 streets apart. He was in my wedding. He's Korean, born and raised here, but his parents immigrated before he was born. I mention that only because it matters later. He's one of the most genuinely decent people I've ever known, and for a long time I assumed my wife felt the same. She started watching K-pop content a few years into our marriage. I didn't think much of it. She's always bounced between obsessions. True crime for 6 months, then sourdough, then houseplants. The K-pop phase just never ended. She started talking about certain members like a harmless celebrity crush. I told myself that's all it was and left it alone. But it wasn't just the content. I started noticing the way she acted when my friend came around. More animated, a little more dressed up, laughed harder at things he said than she'd laughed at anything I'd said in months. I told myself I was imagining it. This was my best friend and my wife. I wasn't going to let paranoia blow up 2 of the most important relationships in my life. So I kept quiet and I kept watching. About 8 months ago, she started pulling away from me physically. Nothing dramatic, just a slow drift. I'd reach for her, and she'd be somewhere else in her head. I asked once if something was wrong, and she said she was just tired. I believed it because I wanted to. 2 small kids, demanding jobs, a mortgage. Tired made sense. Then a month ago, things shifted in a way I couldn't explain anymore. She started picking fights over nothing. The dishes, the way I loaded the car, the tone I used on the phone with her mother. I suggested couples therapy. She said she'd think about it and never brought it up again. Last Tuesday, she put the kids to bed early and came downstairs with a look I hadn't seen before. Serious, prepared, like she'd rehearsed every word. She told me she loved me. She didn't want to lose our family. Then she said opening our marriage might actually bring us closer. She'd read about couples who had done it and come out stronger. I asked who she was thinking about. She said it wasn't about a specific person, more of a concept. I nodded and said I needed to think. Then I picked up her phone to show her a photo of the kids, and when I typed his name to find a picture he'd sent us, the messages loaded, hundreds of them. The most recent one was 3 days earlier. I put the phone down without reading a single one. My hands were completely steady, which still surprises me when I think about it. I waited until she was in the shower the next morning. Then I called him. He picked up on the second ring, and before I could say anything, he said, "I remember this exactly. I've been waiting for you to call." Then he told me, 2 years ago at a birthday party, my wife had too much to drink. It started as flirting he tried to brush off, then she kissed him. He pulled back immediately and left early. He didn't tell me because he didn't want to blow up my marriage over something that happened while she was drunk. He thought she regretted it. They never talked about it again. I asked him about the messages. He went quiet, then said she'd reached out again about 4 months ago. He hadn't responded the way she was hoping, and had been trying to create distance without knowing how to tell me. I hung up. I walked back inside. She was standing in the kitchen in her robe, drying her hair. She looked up and smiled. Then she saw my face. I sat down at the table where we'd eaten as a family 100 times and told her I knew about the kiss. I knew about 4 months of messages. I knew the open marriage conversation wasn't a concept. It had a name. She didn't deny it. She started crying and said she'd never actually cheated. The messages were emotional, not physical. She was trying to do the right thing by being honest with me, instead of just acting on it. I told her kissing my best friend while we were married was not emotional, and 4 months of secret messages to the man she'd already kissed was not doing the right thing. I stayed at my brother's that night. I've been back twice to see the kids. My lawyer says I have a solid case. My therapist says to stop replaying the conversation and focus on what comes next. I'm working on it, but I keep thinking about the way she smiled right before she saw my face. Like everything was still fine. Like she genuinely believed she was going to get away with it. That's the part I can't stop seeing.